Hi, my name's Dave. I make little people out of acorns, which I call Becorns. And then I take them outside and I take pictures of them with real animals. Today I'll be showing you my process for some pictures I took of some eastern bluebirds. The first time I saw one around my house, I was kind of blown away. They seem too special to be something you just see like when you're on a walk. So I decided right then I'm going to get a picture with bluebirds. I went online and I figured out the best way to attract them to your yard is to build a birdhouse. So that's what I did. I put it up in March, and then in July, a pair of bluebirds showed up. They brought pine needles and grass and stuff, and before I knew it, they built a whole nest in there. I've never done this before, so I didn't really think it would happen. I was like so excited. So I got to work sketching out a plan. What I wanted to get was a baby bird the moment it left its nest. And it'd be greeted by this becorn, this shepherd nurturer character, welcoming it to the sunshine and maybe giving it some tips on how to fly. I just thought it'd be the sweetest thing. So I got to work building this shepherd for birds. What's that, a birdard? So while this is playing, I'll talk a little bit about how I got started doing this. I used to be a designer for Lego Technic and Bionicle. Bionicle, they're buildable action figures that are made of kind of weird mechanical parts. You look at them and you're like, what is that? Kind of like an acorn or a stick or something. You can look at that and be like, oh, what could this be? The process for Bionicle, whenever we design new characters, is we'd take existing parts and we'd cut them up and then we'd hot glue them together into new characters. So I came to really enjoy that process. So we'd create the characters and then we'd show them to kids and get their feedback. It was so cool to see what kids liked. So they were into spikes or wings, big weapons, things like that. But also more subtle things made a big difference too, like proportions, posture, what kind of face is the character making, does he carry his weight in a way that's believable. But the big one I learned was story. An example, this isn't my design, it was something that was done for Creator. They did a dragon that had a chain around its neck, and on the other end of the chain was a piece of a wall, as if this dragon was so strong it could just rip a wall apart and escape. It's just a couple bricks, but it hints at such a deeper story. That's what I try and do with Becorns. Show a picture that suggests a whole world and raises questions about where these characters came from and where they're going. Something you can kind of turn over in your mind and just think about. So anyway, I left Lego after 5 years and I was back at home sweeping my mom's driveway thinking, oh, did I make the right decision leaving? That was pretty much the best job I'll ever have. And I looked down and I saw this stick that looked just like a bug's face. And it kind of clicked then, because leaves look like wings and a pine cone can be its body and sticks can be its legs. So I grabbed my glue gun and I made this bug, and I knew right then I could make some really awesome characters. Like this guy. Here we have our finished bird shepherd, birdard character. So let's get back to the birds. They're so cute. This was so fun watching them hatch and grow up, seeing their eyes open and their little feathers starting to come in. I had the plan I'd sketched out, but in the meantime, here were Mom and Dad coming with all these grubs and spiders and grasshoppers and crazy things. And also a juvenile was helping out, like a older brother. So I definitely wanted to try and get a good shot of them. The challenge was to get them to land in a spot that made for a good picture. So I tried a couple things, and this was the best way I could figure out. I kind of planned it. I put that little stick there hoping that that's where the birds would land, and that's where I focused my camera. So pretty much, if they're not standing on that stick, it's out of focus. So that's the goal here. Get them to land on the stick right in front of the becorn. And meanwhile, I was stationed inside with a remote control for my camera, watching really carefully, waiting, and holding a baby of my own. I stood at that window for a couple days, and there were a handful of times when the birds were in just the right spot, and I pushed my button, And I ran outside and I checked my camera and the pictures looked really good and I did a little happy dance. But now the time was approaching when those fledglings were going to leave the nest, and I really wanted a shot of them on their very first flight. And I was getting a bit nervous because I really didn't want to miss it. I knew I had 5 birds, so I had 5 chances. And so I just stayed glued to that window and I waited and I watched and I waited. I hoped they would just jump out onto the platform and have a look around before flying off. That's what I would do. Maybe say hi to some acorn people that are there. But that's not what they did at all. They pretty much just flew away and never looked back. I did manage to find one after it flew, managed to get a video of him looking around. Wow, what he must be thinking right now. So I didn't get the shot I planned, but what I did get are pictures of a curious interaction between a becorn and a bird, and it's up to the viewer to kind of fill in the blanks and decide for themselves what's going on. And that's really my goal, so I'm really happy with how these turned out. Thanks for watching. Check out my website for lots more pictures. I have prints for sale, or you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks.